All right, so I'm looking at something a little different today. I heard from someone named Piotr V, who we've done puzzles from in the past. Piotr sometimes goes by Peter in various places online, I think, too. But said that he got Michael, someone named Michael, as his Secret Santa in the puzzle Secret Santa over on the Cracking the Cryptic Discord server. And he'd made a bunch of pencil puzzles for Michael and thought I might be interested in them. And he got the consent from Michael to send me the puzzles as well so that I could take a look at them. So here we go. This is Piotr's Christmas present to Michael that we also get to enjoy by doing the puzzles. And I'll leave a link to all these puzzles in the description below where you can try them out yourself as well if you would like to. There is a whole bunch of pencil puzzles. They are all, we've got a nice little poem here and instructions, and there's a bunch of stuff, a list of all the puzzles. So they all look nice. Piotr did a very good job with all of the graphics and stuff, but they are all just the normal standard rules for all of the puzzles. So if you're familiar with Heyawake and Castle Wall and Masyu and Nonogram and all of these, it's just the normal rules. There's no weird twists or unusual things. So I'm excited to try them. We'll see how this goes. I don't know how long this video is gonna be. It could be a longer one, but it's gonna be a whole bunch of presumably shorter puzzles. All right, editor Scott here is jumping in to say that this ended up being pretty long, and so I'm actually gonna split it into, I think, probably 3 different videos. So we'll do the first, there's 21 puzzles, so yeah, we'll do the first 7 puzzles maybe as the first video, and then the next 7. We'll split it into 3. Otherwise it's gonna be really long. And so we're gonna get through the first 7 puzzles, and then we'll cut it off, and then we'll resume with the next 7 in part 2 at a later date. So there you go. Back to past Scott as he starts to solve these puzzles, and we'll see what happens. I think most of them, if not all of them, have links to Puzzlink. If you're familiar with Puzzlink, it's a great place to do these kind of puzzles. So yeah, let's jump to the first puzzle, which is the Heyawake. And here we go. So the way Heyawake works, I've got the instructions right above me there if you're not familiar. So you shade some cells of the grid according to the following rules. Shaded cells may not touch orthogonally. So the shaded cells, you can't have 2 shaded cells touching like this. They can touch diagonally like this. Unshaded cells should form one orthogonally connected region, so you can't do something like that because you would have unshaded cells. On most of these puzzles, shaded means black, and then you can also mark things in green to kind of say, oh, this is unshaded, even though you're kind of shading it, obviously, green. But you can't do something like that because you would have unshaded cells that weren't connected to each other. A number in a region indicates how many cells in that region are shaded, so this region right here has to have one shaded cell somewhere. And an unnumbered region can contain any number of cells, and a line of consecutive unshaded shaded cells may not cross more than one region border. So this is the part that's confusing about Heyawake, I think. This part right here. So essentially, if you have unshaded cells like this, that is not possible because it's crossing 2 boundaries here in a row without a shade. Now, if you had a shaded cell there, it'd be fine. If you had one here, it would be fine. If you had one here, it would be fine because it doesn't actually cross 2 borders. You could have one here, but you can't go across a border, keep going across another border, and not have a shaded cell when you go across 2 borders. And that's all we need to know. So I'm gonna reset the timer and see how this goes. Okay. So, what do we want to do? Let's see. We could look at the 3. Okay, the 3 down here, first of all. So we need to have 3 shaded cells, right? Well, we can't have 2 in the same column. Obviously, they're going to be touching each other. You can't have them touch each other. So you're going to have 1 in each of the 3 columns. They also can't touch horizontally. So it seems pretty clear it's got to be like this or like this, right? Those are the only possibilities there. Well, this one would have an unshaded section that's not connected to other unshadeds. So we can immediately do all of those, and then we can click all around these to make sure that we don't put a shaded cell next to another shaded cell. Now this one, if we put a shaded cell there, this one would be isolated. So we can do that. Same thing down here with these. Now, you'll notice we've crossed a border. There's another border. We have to have a shaded cell right there. We don't have a choice, because otherwise we cross 2 unshaded. Same thing over here. And then we can do the unshadeds around them. We know this one can't be shaded because it would isolate one in the corner there. Again, right here, we've gone across the border, another border. We have to have another one right there. Now, let's see. What do we do from there is the question. We're going to have one either here or here. But could be either one right now. Now, over here, we need to have 3. This 2. We know the 2 is going to be like that or like this, right? We don't know which one yet. But if you do this, this one will have to be unshaded, right? Because this would be isolated otherwise. And if you do it this way, this one will have to be unshaded because it would be next to one. So we do know that this is unshaded. Okay, let's look at the 4. Before we look at the 3 in the corner, let's look at the 4 here. It's kind of like the 3 in a way, right? Again, you can't have 2. This time it's just turned, but this time we can't have 2 in the same row because they would have to be next to each other. So we're going to have 1 in each, set of 2, each little domino, essentially. And again, you can't do this because you'd have an isolated one. So it's got to be this way, which means that one's unshaded, and that one has to be the 4th one then, which means this can't be shaded, or else you'd be blocking off this whole corner. These are all unshaded because they touch a shaded cell. Now, let's see. What do we want to do from there? This one can't be shaded because, again, it would isolate this whole corner. So one of these 2 here is shaded. This one would isolate this one. So it's got to be like that. There we go. Now here we've crossed a border. There's another border, so we know that's there. And because we already decided the 2 had to be as a diagonal, we can do all of that, which limits what we can do for the 3 down here. We've already got 1. We need 2 more. This one can't be because, it would isolate that one. We can't do both of these, clearly. We could do one of them, but we can't do both of them. Oh, yeah. I was going to say, if this is unshaded, it would have to be that way, but it doesn't. It could be like this. So we don't know about this one necessarily, do we? Because we could do that. We could do that. Or we could do that if that one's unshaded. So it could be either way. So I suspect this one, this cell right here, is probably going to be shaded, which is going to fix that for us, but we don't know that yet, so I'm not going to do that yet. Okay, up here, can we do anything with the 5 maybe? Not sure about that one. Oh, we know this has to be unshaded because it would isolate one right there. So there's 10, right, so we've got 10 cells. It's not 2, 2, 2, 2, 2 like we did with the 3 and the 4 here, but there is 10 cells and we need 5 shaded cells. And so again, you kind of have to have some sort of a diagonal pattern to it, essentially, because every time you put a shaded cell in here, you're going to have unshaded cells at least one unshaded cell connected to it, right? No matter where you put a shaded cell, there's going to be an unshaded cell connected to it. Now, you can kind of share the unshaded cells, so it doesn't quite work out the same way. But we know we can't do this, right? Because it would have this one isolated up there. You could do both of these, but you couldn't do that one. And if you did both of those, and you can't do any of those, the other 3 have to be there. Now, that would work, right? That's a possibility. If we don't do both of those, let's see, could we do both of these? Could do something like that, but then you can't get 5. So if you do just the middle one here, you can't do 5, essentially. So we can't do just the middle. Could we do just one side or the other? Because we can't do the middle and one of the sides. Actually, so since we can't do this one and still get 5 in here, that one has to be unshaded. Now, could we just do one of these 2 at the top? If it was like this, how would you fit 4 more in there? No, you couldn't. No, you can't. So we have to do both of those. And then from there, we know these are unshaded. We can't do this one because it would isolate. And now the only way the only way to do it is the way I initially said was possible. It's the only way that it is possible. Now we've crossed a border here. We're about to cross another border. We have to put one there. which means this whole bit is connected to the rest through out here, which is fine. Now we've got this, and we've got to do 3 in here. We've already done 1. We can't do this one because it would isolate this one with the 3. So we've got to do this. Now the only way to get 2 more in here is to do them diagonally like that. Now we've got to get 3 in here. We can't do this one for the same reasons, which again, we're back to the same diagonal checkerboard pattern down here that we have to do. I see a theme. These up here have to connect to the rest, so that one has to be unshaded. You know, really, this, on a tangent, this, it's too bad you can't change the colors for the grid, because it should be red and green instead of black and green, since it's a Christmas puzzle, but that's all right. All right, we're making good progress. Let's see, what do we want to do next? Well, this one can't be shaded, because it would isolate that whole thing. We still need to do 2 more down here. We don't know what we're doing with those yet. So, where do we look next? We know we have to have one on either side. Oh, this one can't be shaded, again, because of... Okay, and then we've got a border, another border. This has to be shaded. There we go. Same thing here. This one's... We've crossed this one. We can't cross another border, so this one has to be shaded. We need to have one in one of these 2 right here. If we put one there, we can't put one here. If we put one there, we can't put one here. So this one's unshaded. And so, look, we have 2 borders right here. You have to have one there, or else it's going to be 2 borders in a row. So we can do all of this. Same thing here. We've got 2 borders, so we've got to put one in between there. 2 borders, so there's got to be one here. Can't do one there, or you'd isolate a cell. One of these 2 has to be, but I don't know which one. One of these 2 has to be. Okay, where do I, this is what always happens with these Heyawakes. I get, you know, a long way through, and then I can't quite see the double border crossings are the hard part to find. Okay, we've got 2 borders here, so we've got to have one either there or there. But it seems like either one is possible. We've also got a double border here that we've got to put one in between here somewhere. But we already knew we had to put one in one of these anyways, so that'll fix that problem. There's 2 borders here, and there's 2 borders here. But again, either way, we've got to have one in one of these 2. We put one there. If we put one here, right, this doesn't work. So actually, I should have seen this earlier. If we put one right there, this is unshaded, and you have to do this. But then that isolates this area right over here. So you can't put one right there, which means you have to have one here. And now, we still don't know. Can't we do this one, though? Oh, probably not. Oh, no, because not here. So, why can't you do one? Oh, maybe we're going to get one right here. Maybe that's... there's got to be a way to disambiguate this end down here, because you could do both of those, or you could do this with that, or with that. But not if this gets blocked. Anyways, okay. I think I see what's going to happen. Okay, so we need to have one over here, and one up here. And they obviously can't both be there. But you could do this... or this. No, you can't do that. Right, you can't do both of these because it'll isolate this corner. So we can't do both of those. And we can't do... Yeah, we can't do these 2, and we can't do these 2, so therefore we can't do this one at all. So there's one here. That's essentially what that comes down to. And now, this border right here, we have 2 borders. The only place you can put one in between is right there, which is what we needed, because if we go here, it'll block off this whole corner in here. So now we can do that, which forces it to go this way. There we go. This one here probably isolates stuff. Maybe not. Let's see, this whole area can connect on either side here. Okay. So we need one in one of these 2. How do we know which one to put it in is the question. And how do we know? I mean, I'm guessing this one, because we don't have a number in here, so how do we know how many are in here? Because could we do that? What's the problem with that? Does that isolate something somehow? I don't feel like it does. But it also doesn't... The greens are connected, yeah, out here. Did I miss something? Oh, right here. Two borders. We have to have one there. And so this has to be open to allow this to come around. And now this one has to be open to allow this piece to connect out there. So that puts one there. But how do we know if there's one right here? Oh, we can't put one there because it would isolate that. Of course. Okay, good. So there we go. All right, well, I felt slow on that, but I got through it, and it was fun. Very nice. I felt like that was a good kind of, basic Heyawake logic. I didn't feel like there was anything too complicated in there, which is good. I think that was the idea behind these, was not to have anything overly complicated, just nice and fun. All right, so we're going to move on to the next puzzle. All right, the next puzzle is a castle wall. I enjoy castle wall. I've actually set a bunch of castle walls before, so this will be fun. So if you're not familiar with castle wall, the way it works is we're drawing a non-intersecting loop through the cells, something like this. This would be a loop. You can't have segments that come off like this. You can't, it can't like cross itself and do something weird like this, something like that. This would actually be, yeah, this would work. This would be crossing itself a couple times. You can't do that. You can't cross. Now, the other thing that this castle wall thing has is the black cells must be outside the castle, and the white cells must be inside the castle. So, it could be something like this, where it's all the whites are inside and the blacks are outside, right? And the numbers with the arrows are telling you the lengths of the segments in that direction. Now, not necessarily consecutive. Like this 3, you could have a section here, and then another section over here. There would be 1, 2, 3. The total lengths would be 3. It could be, 1, 1, and 1 somehow, right? Something like that. So counting the lengths of the segments can be a little tricky sometimes. I like to think of it as how many borders it crosses, right? So this is 1, that's 2, this is 1, 2, 3. That's the easiest way to count it, I think. Just think of how many borders it crosses. All right, so I'm going to reset the timer. Give this one a shot. Link in the description like usual. So let's see. The 7 is pretty big. How many do we even have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 8 at most. Now, one thing you can do here is, so you can think about what happens with similarly colored cells, like the 2 whites here, the 2 blacks over here. Is it possible for the wall to ever go between the whites? Well, if you think about a wall going around a castle, there is an inside and an outside of the wall, right? The whites are on the inside, so that side of the line, if the wall goes right here, this bottom side of that line is inside the castle, right? Because white is inside, so this has to be inside. The other side is the outside. So if you put a line between these, both sides of the wall would be the inside of the castle, which is impossible. So you can't go between the whites. Now, on the other hand, where you have the black and the white here, is it possible the wall does not go through here? Well, no, because if the wall doesn't go through here, there's nothing separating the inside and the outside. So the wall has to come through here. We know that much. Now over here, same kind of thing. The wall cannot go between these blacks, or else both sides of the wall are now outside the castle. So we can do this. And this corner here, there's no way to come in here and get back out. You touch it, it touches itself. So we can't go into there. So there's only 2 possible for this 2 here. And then it forces it to turn here. Now, these zeros, we can go ahead and just mark all of these. We can't do anything. Oop, that wasn't quite right. Can't do anything in these zeros. Same with this 0. Same with this 0. Now, you'll also notice you can't come into here because you'd be stuck. So this is off limits. And now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have to use all 7 of those cells. So it goes like this, We have no choice. This one, you can't come in here, you'd be stuck. You can't come in here, you'd be stuck. You can't come in there, you'd be stuck. This is forced to come all the way through here. Can't turn down there. This comes out here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and one's already blocked out, so we have to use all of these. This is forced to keep going. We can't turn. We obviously can't turn north. We could come down. That's doable, potentially. Let's see. Ooh, we've already got 2 here. We need 2 more. 1, 2, there's 3. We need to use 2 of them. We know we can't come in here. So if we come up, right, so we have to use 2 of these 3, right? And if you use this one, no, never mind. You could come here and out and around, and you would only use one of those, and you could use the other one. Yep. You don't have to use both of these. But there's no way to use this one and not that one. So this has to be a piece, basically, because the only way to not use that one is to use both of the others, and you can't do that. So we get this one. So there's the wall definitely comes down here. Oh, and we have to go between the white and the black. We already talked about that, and then I didn't do it. And that's forced to continue this way. So now these are all blocked off, because if you come down here, you're going to dead end. So we know all of that. This has to keep going. Now, this could turn up and be the 4th one in this column, or it could extend over and back and not use up the 4th one. So we don't know that yet. We need 3 across here. If you go through here, it's going to do 2. If you go through here, it's going to do 2, because you can't turn north or south. So those are both sets of 2. We can't use both sets of 2. But we have to use at least one of those sets of 2. The only other place to get a 3rd one is right here. So now this could come down this way. Okay, if no, that's still possible, I think. Yeah. So where do we go from here? We need to do 4. We need to do 2. Okay, the 2, right. So this one is going to turn up or down, right? One way or the other. This one is going to turn up or down. We don't know which way, but we're definitely going to have a crossing here and a crossing up here. That's both of our crossings for this column. So we can't have any more crossings, which forces this one this way. Let's see. This could, if this dropped down and over, it could use the 1, but it doesn't really matter if it drops. If it drops down and comes over, it connects there. If it doesn't drop down and come over, then it connects there. Either way, these 2 connect. This one can't turn up, or it would have nowhere to connect to. So it's got to come down. Now, this has to connect here somehow. If this goes... Oh, we need to have 3 across here. Right. Well, there's another 3. I was looking at the white 3, but not the black 3. Okay, so we can't come in here because we dead end. There's only 1, 2, 3 possible. So we have to use all 3 of those. It has to go like this. This can't turn up now, so it has to come down. Can't make a small loop, so these keep pushing each other over. This one's forced down. This can't go up, so it goes this way. And now we need to have 2, so it's got to go there. And, oh, we didn't connect at the top. We've already got our 1, so we can't go down, so we got to go across there. There we go. All right, cool. Oh, there's something I forgot. I completely forgot. I got to go back and look at the... So, there was a thing... Let me go back. All right. I forgot something in here. There was each puzzle... There's the kind of the overall puzzle as well. Each puzzle represents a letter. Those letters form a sentence. So, in the Heyawake, it was clearly an M. The shape of this region in here was an M. I just noticed in this one, what reminded me of it is the wall forms an E shape. So we have an M and an E so far. Let's remember that. It could be that it's spelling out Merry Christmas, Michael. But we'll see. All right, so on to the next puzzle. All right, so next up is a Masyu. Now, the way Masyu works is we're drawing another loop, non-intersecting loop, just like the castle wall. But this time we have to go through all of the circles. And white circles the line has to go straight. It can't turn in a white circle. And it has to go straight, and then it has to turn immediately after the circle on one side or the other. Or both, but at least one side. The black ones has to turn, it can't go straight through, and it must go straight on both sides. So it must make like this big L shape, essentially. And that's all you need to know. So I'm going to reset the timer, give it a try. We'll see how this goes. So, I mean, we know right away we can do this corner. All the whites have to be straight, and if that's on the edge, it can only go straight through in one direction. This one also cannot go straight through horizontally. This is forced to turn. Obviously, we don't want to make a small loop, so we can do that. Now, this one has to turn, so it's got to come out this way, right? It can't go 2 cells this way or you'll create a branching line, so it's got to go this direction. Now, this white is going straight on the left side, so it has to turn on the right. This one has to do an L, and it can't, because of where the other L is, it has to do that. This one has to stick out. It could go up or down, we don't really know. This one has to have one piece of its L shape going horizontally, and it would stick off the grid if it went to the left, so that has to go to the right, which then means this one's going to the right, or I mean going to the left, because they're connected. If this goes up, it's going to have to go straight through, but we have to turn in the black, so it has to come down. That forces this all the way up here. This one now is forced this way. That's got to go straight through, and now it has to turn one way or the other. We don't know which way. This is turning this way now, so it goes like this. So now this white can't go straight through horizontally, so it's got to go straight through vertically. If this comes down here, the only place it can connect is back to itself, which would create a small loop, and we don't want to do that. So this has to turn up. This also can't come down, or it would create a small loop. I feel like we're drawing an R. How about that? This is going straight, so it has to turn. And now this is going to have nowhere to go if it goes to the right, so it's going to turn down here. This one can't go straight horizontally. It's got to connect there. It's got to turn there. Very nice. Now this one has to come this way, and down here, these are going to have to connect. This keeps going. We don't want to create a small loop here, so these can't connect, so that goes there. This one now can't go straight vertically. It's got to go horizontally. It then has to turn, and there we go. Complete, and look at that. We drew an R. Very, very surprising that we got an R, right? All right, nice and quick one there. Okay, on to the next one. All right, next up is a nonogram, and we're definitely not going to get another R on this one. So if you're not familiar with nonogram, we're going to shade some cells in the grid, and again, you can do right-click to do, like, this is unshaded, essentially, mark things that way. A number clue along a grid edge indicates a number of connected shaded cells in that region. So the 2 here means you're going to have like 2 connected and 2 connected, something like that. Or here, there has to be a gap in between, because if you did this, it would be 4 connected, not 2 sets of 2. And that's all we really need to know. So let's reset the timer and give this one a try. So let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So, I mean, we can easily fill in the 8s like that. This is one of the 2s, so we can do all of that, because we have our first 2. Now, this column, the only things left are those 2. So there's our 2s there. Now, this is 6 and 7, and it has to be one unbroken set, so it's got to be 6 and 7 like that. This has to have 3, so we're going to do that. This has to have 5, so we're going to do that. And the 2, that's the only 2 left. This is 2, those are all done. This has to be 7, so it's got to go all the way. This is 6, it's got to go all the way. So there is 2. This one has to be 3, 2 and 4, 2 and 2, 2 and 2. There we go. That was a quick one, less than a minute, and oh look, it's an R. I'm shocked. All right, let's see what's next. All right, next up is a slalom. Now, I don't know if I've ever done a slalom before, so this should be interesting. I can already tell that this puzzle is going to be a Y, which I suspected anyways, but, I mean, it's a Y. There we go. So, we've got Mary so far. I wonder what's coming up next. So, rules for this one. We're drawing a loop. It's a non-intersecting loop. I removed that from the rules up there because the rules got a little long. It didn't fit on screen, but it's another non-intersecting loop. And it starts and ends at the white circle. We have to go through these gates. You have to go straight through a gate. You can't run like along a gate, although in this one we can't, because I think sometimes the gates can be like multiple cells long. And these are just single ones. If it has numbers on the gate, then that tells you where in the order of the gates it has to go. So the 5 in the circle tells us there's 5 gates, which we can also just kind of count them. But and then the 1 means this has to be the first gate. The 3 means this has to be the third gate. And that's all we need to know. So let's reset the timer. I feel like this is going to be another quick one because I actually kind of feel like I already know what to do. So we go through the 1. We have to come up. And we have to be able to go up through here and get back out. So we have to do that. And then this one, we're going to have to come up and around and down here and back to the 5. There we go. All right, 17 seconds. Fastest puzzle so far. I like that the solution also kind of drew a Y as well as the puzzle being a Y. It's kind of like the puzzle was a capital Y and the solution is almost a lowercase y with the angle there. But anyways, all right, next puzzle. All right, next up is Yajilin. This is another puzzle type that I have said a few puzzles of before, but it's been a while. So again, we're drawing a non-intersecting loop. Now this time we're shading cells and drawing a loop, and the loop has to go through all of the cells that aren't shaded. So we can't do something like this and not have shaded cells here, right? Now the shaded cells also cannot touch orthogonally. So again, if you had this pattern, it wouldn't work because you'd have to shade both of these. And you can't have shaded cells touch orthogonally. They can touch at the corners. I was thinking they could. I couldn't remember for sure. The rules say they can touch diagonally. Not every shaded cell. Oh, and then the arrows tell us how many shaded cells there are in that direction. So this 0 means none of these cells are shaded across here. This 2 means there's 2 shaded cells below it. And you can have shaded cells that aren't indicated by numbers. So, like this first column here doesn't have any numbers in it, but we can still put a shaded cell down here potentially. And that's all we need to know. So let's reset the timer. And away we go. Okay, so, well, we know we can't have any shaded cells in these zeros. So let's go ahead and mark those. We can't have any shaded cells here, or across here. Now, are there any other obvious ones where like there's a 1 pointing at one cell or something? I don't think so. Now, if we shade this one, how is the loop gonna come into here and back out? It can't. So we can't shade that one. Now we could shade either one of these, unfortunately. Now, another thing is at the corner of the grid, you can't shade like this one because you'd have to be, the loop can't come in and back out, so we can mark all of those. You can just always do that on Yajilin. Now through here, we can't shade all 4 of these cells, right? And so somewhere in here, there's gonna be an unshaded cell, at least one. Actually, at least 2, because there's 4 cells. You can only shade 2 of them at most. So for the loop to get to that unshaded cell, it has to go all the way through here. So we can do all of that. We can do all of that. And then this corner here, the only way for the loop to get this corner is to come in and back out, right? And now, same thing here. This piece now has to be connected. Every cell that's part of a loop has to have 2 exits, or an entrance and an exit, essentially. And so, you know, once you've eliminated 2 sides, because there's the edge of the grid, and this one can't connect because it'd be a branch, you can automatically do the other 2. This one right here, you've eliminated 2 sides because of the shading, so it has to go like this. This has to come across here, similar to how this one has to come across. Now, if this came down, it would have to connect there, and it can't do that. So we got to do that, and we're going to have to shade that one. And that's one of those shaded cells that's not indicated by anything. Now, let's see. Do we know? Okay, so similarly to how we can unshade the second from the corner, this one right here, if it's shaded, how do you get in and out of this cell? You can't. So this one can't be shaded, which forces it to do that, and this one we can do that with. Now this one, if this is unshaded, you can't get it in and back out. So it has to do this, which means this is unshaded. We can do that. Let's see, this one down here, we can do that, we could do this. This has to go that way. Now this one we can't get into and back out of again, so that's a shaded cell. The loop has to come all the way through here. We need one more shaded cell here, but we don't know where it is yet. We can do all of that. We can do this, we can do this. We need to have one shaded cell in here. Do we know where it is? I don't think we do yet. Maybe we do, but I don't. Maybe we collectively do. You might, but I don't. Okay, we can do that with the loop. Now down here, right, you can't shade this one. Same thing as the corner of the grid, because you'd have to come in and back out. So this one can't be shaded. So we could have one or the other shaded. Could they both be unshaded is the question. It would have to do this, and then this one would be a problem. You can't get in and out of this one. So one of these two has to be shaded, and the loop will have to go, oop, that's not what I meant to do. The loop will have to come back out. It'll come down, and one of these two, it'll come down in and back out. We need to have two shaded cells here. Look, we've only got 3 possibilities. We can't do both of these. We can only do one of those two, so the other one has to be here. So we can do that then. Now, this doesn't necessarily connect right here. This could come up. We don't know that. But one of these two is shaded. This right here, yeah, we don't really know. We don't know yet, do we? We don't know what's going on there yet. Or at least I don't. Maybe you do. Over here, okay, could this be shaded? I feel like... No, this is going to cause a problem if this one's shaded. Because... actually, before we get to that... yeah, no, we can do that. Yeah, if this one's shaded, if this drops down, it can come back up, right? But then this would have to be shaded. Because this... For this one to not be shaded, this has to connect here. But now we'd have to come down and back out here. So this one would have to be unshaded. And so if we unshade this one on the left, we unshade the one on the right. Basically, they have to be... if this one's unshaded, this one's unshaded. If this one's shaded... This one's shaded. Wait, what? Okay, I said if this one is not shaded... This one's also not shaded. So basically this one has to be shaded. Another way to look at it is if this one's shaded, this one also has to be. So this one has to be shaded. Okay. Either way, that's the one that's shaded. I think I confused myself there. And so this one's now unshaded because we only have one. Right. Now, so this is going to have to do like a snaking pattern through here. But does it start like that? Or does it come... down here first and do that? I'm not sure, actually. How do we know if this one is shaded? Well, probably what's going to happen is this one is going to be shaded from the one, and that's how we'll know. But I don't quite see that yet. I feel like I should be done with this one by now. It shouldn't be this difficult. I'm struggling on it for some reason. Okay, we need to have one of these two shaded, right? If it's this one, yeah, if it's this one, then you have to come around here, and how are you going to get in and out of that one? You can't. So it's got to be this one. There's probably a better way to look at that, but that's how I'm going to look at it. So that's our one. This is unshaded, therefore, and we need to have two here, so this one has to be shaded, so it comes up this way. Good, that's our one, so these are all unshaded. Now this one has to go, well, it has to come out here. We don't actually necessarily know where it connects, because this could come this way, or it could do this, I feel like, at this point. We know this is unshaded. Okay, well, this can't go straight through, because you're going to end up having a small loop. So this one definitely sticks out that way. Oh, we've got our one for here, so these are all unshaded. Oh, this has to go this way. There we go. Okay, so now this can't turn to the right. Yeah. That was actually pretty obvious. I should have seen that. If we come in here and around... Oh, we need to have two, so this has to be shaded. Yep. So this is going to have to come down there. These can't connect because we can't create a small loop. It forces them all to come out this way. Now, we need to have one. One of these has to be shaded. If it's this one, this dead ends. So this is... Oh. Right, and if it's this one, then this dead ends. Yeah. Okay, and that's what we wanted. We wanted to not be able to shade these. We wanted this to be shaded, which forces this to do this, and we have to snake through, and then it's gonna connect there, and this snakes through there. There we go. All right, well, I felt really slow on that one. I felt like I should have seen that much earlier, but I haven't done a Yajilin in quite a while, so that'll be my excuse. All right, moving on to the next one. All right, next up is an Icelom, and not surprisingly, it's the letter H. So I've done actually a lot of ice puzzles. I've set a lot of ice puzzles before. I've even done multiple like big puzzles that are made up of a sequence of several ice puzzles as part of some puzzle hunts and ARGs and things. So I'm gonna be very disappointed if I'm really slow on this one, but you never know. Sometimes you just don't quite see the one thing you need to see. So the way this works, by the way, is we're drawing a path from the in to the out. So it's not a loop this time, but it's still kind of a similar type of thing. But it starts at the in, ends at the out. We have to go through all the numbers in order. The path has to visit every white cell and every blue region. So you don't have to hit every blue cell, but you have to at some point go into the blue region. There's only one blue region on this puzzle. Sometimes there's multiple blue regions. But we have to hit every white cell. In the white cells, the path cannot cross itself. You can't do anything like this. The path may cross itself in the blue. You could do something like that. But the path cannot turn in the blue. So if you go here, you have to continue all the way. You can't come into the blue and turn because the blue is the ice and ice is slippery. So once you're on the ice, you just have to keep going until you get off the ice. That's the idea behind it. So I think these are fun. I'm going to reset the timer, give it a try. We'll see what happens. So we come in the in, we come out the out. We can do the corners because we have to visit every white cell, and so you know you have to come into the corner here. Let's see. Can we the one clearly has to come in and out of the one. You have to come in and out of every cell. If the one comes from above, there's no way for it to ever get to the in and for the 6 to get to the out without them crossing each other. And there's no way for them to cross in the blue. There's no way for them to cross in the blue up here. So the white cannot go up, is what I'm saying. It's got to go this way. Down here, if it turns, it'll hit the 3. It's got to go to the 2. There we go. Now, this could come all the way up and back down to the 3. We don't really know. That's possible. We might need to do that to get these white cells up here, actually. But this now can't connect to the 4. The 1 can't connect to the 4, so it's got to turn up here. Can't connect to the 6. It's got to go here. Now, again, it could jog over and up to get these white cells. We don't really know yet. The 4 needs to connect to the 5. But again, it could kind of jog up and over. But if we did this, then the 4, yeah, the 4 now can't go up, so it has to do this. This is going to have to be the 5, because if it came over here to connect to the 5, then the 5 would be dead-ended, so it's got to go down there. This can't connect to the 6. We need to connect to the 3, but we could do a jog over. But the 3 can't go to the left. So it could go, but it could go up or, interesting. So this could come all the way up and back down to the 3, and then we could jog down to get to the 4. But the 5 needs to get to the 6, right? And if the 5 goes this way, it's going to hit the 2, the 3, or the line. Those are the only options. So the 5 has to come all the way up here, which means the in cannot go that way. It's got to go here. Now we have to touch the 6. We've also got to get all of these cells. Now, right, so if the 2 comes up here, if the 2 goes all the way up, it would have to go all the way up and it would have to turn and come back down to the 3. But then the 6 has no way to get to the out, so the 2 can't do that. So the 2 is going to go this way. We're going to hit the 6 and up to the, we can't go all the way up to the out like that. Oh, interesting. So, how do we get to here? We can't come from the 2. If we can't come from the 2, we got to come from across here. Right. We're going to do this and up and over. There we go, like that. And then we've got to hit the 3 and the 4. The 3's got to go to the 4. We come down to the 2 like that. There we go. All right, well, that was a little slower than I thought I should have been, but I was also kind of explaining things, so that'll be my excuse this time. You've always got to have an excuse ready, right? All right, so that's going to be the end of part 1. That's just the first 7 of the 21 puzzles. We'll have the next 7 coming shortly, so be sure to like and subscribe so that you get notified when the next video goes up. Here's an interesting question. Which song has spent the most time at number 2 on the Billboard Top 100 without making it to that was really
1?
good. On the left, awesome. Ballet over here. Okay, it is L and T, just like I was thinking. Now, Alphabet. There we go, that's a good one.